lead to that other form of severe weather that I like to call it, and that is flash flooding, only because flooding is so dangerous as well. And we're already seeing some flooding issues. I saw some flood reports in southern portions of Missouri. We've also had severe weather already early this morning right here around Sumner. This is where we have a severe thunderstorm warning. By the way, these storms are whipping to the northeast, 50, 55 miles an hour, and you can see some of the other counties involved here: Harvey, Reno, Sedgwick, under this severe warning until 6:30 Central Time. There could be some damaging winds to go along with that heavy rain and the frequent lightning that we definitely see here on the south side of Hutchinson, north of Hutchinson, up towards Salina, Kansas. It is a light show out there this morning for sure. As far as the elevated threat for severe weather today, Jim just talked about this area. We're talking the panhandle of Texas, getting into western Oklahoma. But even outside of that, in that lighter shade of red, it's a marginal threat, not zero. So it's still, the potential is there. And there's that potential for flash flooding as we go throughout the day today and overnight, which of course is a very dangerous time to get flooding. If you do have to do any traveling across the Ozarks into Tulsa, this is an area that definitely need to watch out for those low water crossings, those areas that typically flood. Here's a look at the way it plays out on the future radar. The storms really start popping later this afternoon and certainly even later this morning around Wichita, Topeka, and moving into Springfield down towards Moore, Oklahoma. We'll see these thunderstorms that could produce damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour to go along with some hail that could develop with some of these storms too. And we stopped the radar right there. When you see specks of white like that, that indicates there could be some really big hail with some of these storms. Again, this is a future radar, just an approximation of where we could see some of that hail. And the Torcon for today that goes all the way up to 10 on the scale is a 3 for today, Jordan. But that severe threat carries over into the weekend as well.
Yes.
This weekend as well, as we are now going all the way up into the 70s, low 80s for some of you. Bradford pear trees, they are blooming right now. The daffodils are all over the place. This is the kind of weather where in the morning you need the jackets, and then you pray that your kids remember to bring their jackets home with them at the end of the day, because it does warm up so much by the afternoon. We're talking near 80 in Atlanta, 81 Montgomery, 78 degrees in New Orleans. And as we head into the weekend, we're still going to be dealing with the warmth, that southerly wind pushing those temperatures up on the thermometer. Low 80s in Jackson, 76 degrees in Atlanta. And as we head towards Sunday, there even could be some record highs out there. All right, I want to forget, though, the sunglasses. It's going to be a little bright out there this morning, Jordan, especially for those, eastbound travelers. 10 miles away from the storm. And on average, 49 people are killed each year by lightning. And this season is a good reminder to be really careful when you're out there in stormy weather. Meteorologist Mark Elliott explains the science behind lightning. That hour of sleep, but hey, we gained that hour of daylight, you guys, and we've got some warm weather ahead too. All across the south today is Plant a Flower Day, by the way, so maybe you want to get out in the garden. Temperatures 70s and 80s across the south. Watch out for severe storms on the plains. Of course, Denver, you'll be right in the midst of our very heavy snowstorms, not just Saturday, into Sunday as well, and moving into the western parts of Nebraska. Near blizzard conditions are possible as that wind will be howling out there as well. Record highs are possible. It is a weekend, maybe you are doing some traveling, know what county you're in. That's how the warnings are typically issued. Could you see a tornado warning? It's possible, along with a severe warning, and even flood warnings are possible too. We've got heavy rain and thunderstorms basically affecting the same areas over and over again. We've got a stalled out front, not moving very much this weekend. Already we've had warnings near Wichita. We had reports of power poles snapped in this area with winds at least 50 miles an hour. And you can see the lightning that is still going out there right along the Oklahoma-Kansas border. We moved that rain over into the western parts of Kentucky. You see the yellows and oranges on the radar. That indicates some heavier rainfall. And this is certainly an area that does not need any heavy rainfall. The Ohio River, Red River, still running out of its banks right now. Wichita, we are clear from severe warnings, but you can see the lightning is still around you. So get inside when that thunder is roaring out there. We've also got a high wind threat. Winds could exceed 60 miles an hour. There could be some big hail, quarter size or larger, anywhere from western Oklahoma down into the western parts of Texas. And then there's the flash flood threat as well. And it's going to be overnight, by the way. So even when it's dark out there, it's going to be hard to tell how deep the water is. So turn around, don't drown from the plains into Tennessee as these storms really get going. And Jordan, unfortunately, they hit the same areas over and over again, even as we head head into the weekend.
Yeah, that's why.
Flowers are blossoming all over the south. The warmth continues. Could we see record warmth in the southeast toward the end of this weekend? It's possible. Today, right now, we're starting off with temperatures in the 60s, kind of day where you need the jacket in the morning, but then by the afternoon, you're carrying it home from work or school. It's going to be mild out there, really warm. 81 Montgomery, 81 Jackson, into Florida. If you're heading down there for spring break, temperatures in the low 80s as we head throughout the weekend. You'll notice Atlanta cools down just a smidge for tomorrow. Pollen count probably going up, though, along with the temperatures. And you'll notice by Sunday, by the way, we lose that hour of sleep in the morning. We spring ahead to daylight saving time, and it looks like the weather, at least, will be nice for any outdoor activities. And Sunday, here's a look at some of those cities where we could either tie or break records with how warm it is going to be. All right, we got folks are flocking to the Sunshine State perhaps for some spring break action, and there will be some showers to dodge, but it's not going to be a complete rain out. So here's a look at Tampa, for example. We're starting our morning with cloudy skies. Good time to head out for that early morning walk along the beaches here. You got the sunshine breaking through at times this afternoon, but there will be a few raindrops here and there, and temperatures a little bit on the cooler side, upper 60s to around 70 degrees. So here's the timing for Tampa. As you can see, there will be some pockets of heavier rain trying to work into the Bay Area as we head towards 11 o'clock this morning. So around brunch time, lunchtime, you'll be dodging some of those showers, maybe even hear a rumble of thunder out there around St. Petersburg. Not expecting a huge amount of severe weather today, but with any one of these storms, lightning is going to be a hazard, and there could be a gust of wind that could knock over perhaps some patio furniture. All right, Orlando, for later on today, you've got that chance for showers beginning at around lunchtime, lasting through dinner time as well. So grilling plans, yeah, you might need to take some of those plans indoors as we do see the showers kind of persisting through the evening hours. Here is a look at the timing on the radar, and you can see Apopka to Kissimmee. We're looking at those showers really beginning to pop up here as we head towards later this afternoon. So 3, 4 o'clock, it's on the western side. Really at any time, though, you just have to be prepared for a downpour or two, and then you think you're done, but there might be still a few residual leftover showers out there as we head towards tonight. So here's a look at Miami. Here, too. It's going to be a little warmer here in southern Florida. Temperatures in the mid-70s, mid to upper 70s, and there's your chance for some showers and storms, especially as we get beyond 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then kind of lingering a little bit in isolation as we head towards 7 or 9 o'clock this evening. Well, spring is an especially dangerous time for storms, and now is the time to prepare for severe weather season. Being prepared can be as easy as making sure you have those emergency alerts set up on your smartphone. Meteorologist Paul Goodlow walks you through the steps to safety. You could use, right? We need it here desperately, especially across Southern California, getting into the Four Corners region where the drought has worsened in recent weeks. Now, we do have some snow on the way. We're going to add to that snowpack, at least in the Siskiyous and parts of the Sierra, where we do have winter weather advisories in effect. The Cascades also looking at some snowfall, and into the Bitterroots in the northern Rockies, there will be anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of snow, and even more than that in the highest elevations. Right now, we're seeing a stripe of blue on the map here in Northern California. That's your snow showing up there. We've had some rain late last night in San Francisco. That rain now working its way through the Central Valley of California, where we also need it. There is a closer look at some of that snow that's coming down here across the Siskiyous, including Mount Shasta. And as we head down towards San Francisco Bay, there's the rain that we had last night. It is now pushing eastward over the Central Valley and San Joaquin Valley, where we, of course, need the precipitation for our fruits and veggies. All right, here comes the dip in the jet stream. We do have storms kind of lined up out here over the Pacific Ocean. So this is wonderful to see because we didn't really see a whole lot during our typical rainy season, which is the wintertime here on the West Coast. So we are going to see some rainfall on the coast and the valley locations. There will be some snow higher up, of course. You see the purples on the map indicating where we're likely to see several inches, even up to a foot of snow in some of these locations. But look at the departure from average when it comes to precipitation so far this year. The tans and browns running anywhere from 4 to 16 inches below where we should be. So hopefully with these next systems, Chris, we'll be able to put a ding severe storms. But I have to say, it's been great that we've been below average thus far.
Yeah, so you look at this, and so far, we've only had 11 tornadoes. That's for the year. On average, up through February, we averaged close to 60. So typically this time of year, you would see it in the south, Kelly,
right.
And we just haven't had it. Why? It's been so cold.
Exactly.
Everyone remembers how cold it was just a couple weeks ago.
Especially Oklahoma, Texas, but this is an area that we typically do watch for tornadoes across portions of Texas, stretching into Dixie Alley as well. And you can see that we really start to ramp things up as we head towards May being the peak when it comes to the number of tornadoes.
And as we go into the latter half of spring and into summer, notice how the count continues to climb, but it also spreads farther north as temperatures continue to climb. So we see that into the Central Plains and eventually into the upper Midwest by the time we head into June and July.
But you may have noticed every single month had tornadoes on it, right? So our bar graph shows January can have tornadoes all the way through the end of the year. We also want to break down the difference between a watch and a warning now that we are getting into severe season. A watch means, and I like to do this with the kids in class, we're watching for the possibility of severe weather. A warning means we are under it. We're going through it right now, or it's about to happen.
And a watch is good, meaning the ingredients are there, so it's a possibility something could form out of this, but not always a given. So that's the differences. We had quite the year last year at this time. We had a couple of stronger tornadoes into Mississippi, also there into other parts of the South.
Yeah, so spring can be busy. We've been lucky so far, but we don't want you guys to let down your guard. Make sure everybody in the family knows what that plan is and where to go. It's today, good Saturday morning, and you're watching AMHQ Weekend. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass.
And I'm meteorologist Chris Bruin. Reynolds Wolf has the day off, enjoying some time away, and we have a lot going on today. We're talking rain, thunderstorms in the south, but not a complete ruin to your weekend plans. We'll break that down. And also a major warm-up on the way. Yes.
So we're away from the coast a little bit, and by the time these systems make their way up into this area, they're usually remnants of the storm, maybe tropical depression status.
So basically, you're never going to get a direct hit. And by the time any circulation gets there, it's likely going to be much weaker. So oftentimes we'll be impacted by more tropical storm-like conditions. Sometimes, if the perfect situation were to come about, we could have hurricane force winds.
Depends on how strong it was to begin with.
It's very unlikely, given the fact that when you look at the historical accords, over the last, say, several decades, we've only had few tropical storms and depressions.
Just look at Texas up towards Minnesota. We are looking good out there today. Temperatures are on the rise, so that is the good news. We are seeing a little bit of lake effect snow, though, across the Northeast, especially coming in toward the Tug Hill Plateau, also across southwestern Michigan. We're looking at winter storm warnings and lake effect snow warnings. You can see sunny skies, though, toward the south. High pressure, our friend, delivering a beautiful day. Atlanta, Birmingham, temperatures yesterday were on the cooler side, especially with that wind, but today should feel a lot better and it will be warmer. Meanwhile, it's pretty active on the West Coast. That's where we're still tracking some showers. We had a bit of hail around Crescent City in Northern California, about 1/4 inch in diameter. So we're about average across much of the Great Basin here, across the middle of the country. We are looking forward to that warm up, at least getting back to average, right? But then we're going to go above average as we head through the next few days. Also looking at warmer temperatures eventually for the Midwest. Chicago, 27 degrees for today, getting ready for another bit of snow coming through tomorrow afternoon, Reynolds. And Perseverance's mission is officially scheduled to last 1 Martian year, or about 2 Earth years, but its plutonium-based power system could keep it rolling for up to 10 years. The location, we provide you with your own personalized forecast. Tucker here kicked off his snow boots, at least the front boots, because he was doing some zoomies in the snow, having a ball out there in Hamilton, Ohio. Temperatures in the teens, rising to about 30 by the afternoon. Here we have adorable Tucker. Look at that snow-covered face right there. Gales Ferry, Connecticut. Also looking to see those temperatures get slightly above freezing. And finally, Yukon doing some with you. Actually ended up with more sleet than snow. So the D.C. area is way off its average, down more than 7 inches at Reagan National and also down 5 inches at Dulles. It's a similar story for Baltimore, which is almost 6 inches below average at BWI. So why are we not seeing the kind of snow that other places in the Northeast are getting? Maybe you're missing out. Maybe you're a snow lover. You got to go a little more inland. That's where you find the heavier snowfall totals. Certainly across southern Pennsylvania, we're closing in on 3 feet. In some locations, we've had some monster storms, mainly for the interior sections of the Northeast. That's where the snow depth is a little bit higher for us. And if we look at the storm tracks so far this season, you will notice some of them come at us from the west, the Ohio Valley. That usually gives us more of a rain chance for D.C. or Baltimore. Sometimes these storms go off the coast where you do have a better chance of seeing some of that snowfall, but it really has to be just the right setup for us to see see snow in places like D.C. and Baltimore. You can see the storms that we have had in recent history. 2009, of course, we had Jonas. That was actually back in 2016. Snowmageddon, we can't forget that one either. That brought us a lot of snow, too. We look at the longitude and latitude that determines the 95 corridor snowfall totals. And D.C., you can get it. You have in the past. But really, so far this year, the storm tracks have just not been favorable for us to get this kind of snow. Well, even though there has not been a lot of snow, people have found ways to take advantage. Well, this week's snowstorm brought Memphis its snowiest day since 1985, Little Rock's snowiest day in 146 years. All that snow, a welcome sight for some, especially in the northern tier where we're more used to it and who like to head outdoors. Hiking is definitely a great option to enjoy nature while social distancing. It offers everything from breathtaking, really has a lot to do with what kind of snow you get, whether it's a sticky snow or that dry, powdery snow. And even down south, believe it or not, we had cold enough temperatures for that dry, powdery snow. Looking at Roan Mountain in Tennessee, we've got the snow on top there. Even Monroe, Louisiana, we had those big snowflakes coming down where, of course, we had a little more moisture content. And yeah, those cold temperatures are still in play today. That is for sure. Where the snow is flying today, we've got a little bit of lake effect happening just off of Lakes Erie and Ontario. This is where we have the advisories in effect. We still have a little bit of that winter storm kind of hugging the New England coastline. So we're still not quite done with the light snow showers from Boston to Portland. Over here to the other Portland, on the other coast, we do have a bit of snow falling in the higher elevations, but thankfully temperatures have warmed above freezing because we had quite the ice storm in the Rose City here at Portland just a few days ago. We still have a lot of people without power in the state of Oregon, by the way, and we also have a system affecting Northern California. We've got some snow for the Siskiyous as well as the Sierra. Meanwhile, it's all rain along the California coastline, even down toward the Bay. Busy 2020 season helping hurricane survivors. Mercy Chefs is back into action once again to help feed thousands of Texans. The organization's found sleet than snow. So the D.C. area is way off its average, down more than 7 inches at Reagan National and also down 5 inches at Dulles. It's a similar story for Baltimore, which is almost 6 inches below average at BWI. So why are we not seeing the kind of snow that other places in the Northeast are getting? Maybe you're missing out. Maybe you're a snow lover. You got to go a little more inland. That's where you find the heavier snowfall totals. Certainly across southern Pennsylvania, we're closing in on 3 feet. In some locations, we've had some monster storms, mainly for the interior sections of the Northeast. That's where the snow depth is a little bit higher for us. And if we look at the storm tracks so far this season, you will notice some of them come at us from the west, the Ohio Valley. That usually gives us more of a rain chance for D.C. or Baltimore. Sometimes these storms go off the coast where you do have a better chance of seeing some of that snowfall, but it really has to be just the right setup for us to see snow in places like D.C. and Baltimore. You can see the storms that we have had in recent history. 2009, of course, we had Jonas. That was actually back in 2016. Snowmageddon, we can't forget that one either. That brought us a lot of snow, too. We look at the longitude and latitude that determines the 95 corridor snowfall totals. And D.C., you can get it. You have in the past. But really, so far this year, the storm tracks have just not been favorable for us to get this kind of snow. Well, even though there has not been a lot of snow, people have found ways to take it. Meanwhile, in Florida, it is going to be nice and toasty for you snowbirds out there. Miami pushing 80 degrees, but certainly cold enough to give us this snow event across the Northeast and the Great Lakes. But unfortunately, it's not just about the temperature at the surface. You also have to go up in the atmosphere. And unfortunately, there is a little bit of warm air loft that we're going to have to watch out for, a little bit of icy conditions out there. And that wind, too, could cause some problems in terms of power outages. All right. And it is so important to take care of your vehicle, especially when winter storms like Orlena are sweeping their way across the country. But when it comes to winter car maintenance, you might be doing it wrong. Meteorologist Alex Wallace breaks down some myths to keep you out of the repair shop. And later this morning at 8:20 Eastern Time, we'll be talking with the car coach, Lauren Fix. She's sharing simple steps that you can take to keep you and your family safe on the road this winter season. Jennifer? All right, Boston, we've got the snow on the way as well. I'm in Boston right now. Probably not best to wear high heels. Definitely breaking out the boots once that snow does begin. But the snow at times could reduce visibility. And right now we're calling for the snow to really pick up in intensity west and north of Boston. That's where the higher snowfall accumulations will be. And you can see that actually here on this map. The darker the purple, we're talking about at least a foot to a foot and a half of snowfall. Boston itself being right on the water, a little bit of a trickier forecast. But right now at Logan, We're expecting anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of snow. That wind will be kicking in as well. And there is that threat we could see some coastal flooding with that persistent northeast wind as well. So here's a look at your Monday morning. We start off with cloudy skies. The snow really begins to work in as we head towards 11 o'clock, midday. At times that rain snow line will be pushing in off the water. And that's why the snowfall accumulation for the coastal sections will not be as much as what you'll find north and west. We're going to be digging out, Jen, from anywhere from 1 foot to 1.5 foot of last places like New York City. It's going to get very heavy at times. There's the bar graph, and you can see this is the heavy snowfall rates. And right about that time, the winds will be quite strong out of the northeast, over 35 miles per hour. And this is your time frame where the worst of the storm will be occurring. Anytime during the afternoon tomorrow, even toward the evening time frame, we're still talking about moderate snowfall rates. So it might be tough for those plows to keep up when you're dealing with those snowfall rates pretty heavy at times. 1 foot to 1.5 foot of snow is what we are officially predicting from the Bronx Zoo to Central Park out towards Long Island. Now, I have to say around Massapequa and the Southern State Parkway, you may not see as much snow because there will be that chance for some rain to mix in at times. But look to the west, look to the hills over the eastern parts of Pennsylvania. We could be talking about close to 2 feet of snow in those locations. Providence, Rhode Island, we see the snow picking up tomorrow morning. It starts to get heavier, though, as we head for 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. And right about that time, you've got these winds out of the northeast, so out of the water here at around 40 miles per hour. So unfortunately, there will be that chance for some power outages besides the reduced visibility around Block Island up towards Webster here in Massachusetts and Hartford, Connecticut, River Valley. You guys are going to get a solid 6 to 12 inches of snow out there. That snow begins in the morning for you guys in Hartford and spreads out across New England as we go throughout the day tomorrow. And Jen, it looks like it's going to stick around all day Monday. Like you see around me quite yet, but we will eventually see our scene change across Boston. We've got the Quincy Market at Faneuil Hill Marketplace opening up today, Snowport and Seaport. A lot of outdoor winter activities you can take advantage of, but it looks like the snow is going to wait to come into areas of New England. So you still have some time to stock up on any essentials that you might need to get you through the storm. It's really going to be Monday through the afternoon, that snow blowing sideways. I mean, we're talking about some pretty strong winds out there. Coastal flooding can't be ruled out. That snow continuing into Tuesday and Tuesday night, Groundhog Day, but unfortunately a little bit of warm air aloft could bring us a little bit of a wintry mix, including even all raindrops. So that's why this forecast behind me is such a sharp cutoff along the coastal sections, because we have to watch that freezing line. But you go north and west of Beantown and we're well into 1 foot of snow. It's going to be solid all the way to Manchester and Nashua, New Hampshire, and you can see that snow is going to creep in during the morning tomorrow, Jen, and it's going to be with us all day. But again, we'll have to watch that rain snow line kind of sneaking in at times, but then going back over to snow as we head for Tuesday. You're right. You're recorded.
Go back and check the tape and then erase it.
Yeah, snow, wind, we've got it all with this system. It all starts here in the southern plains, though. We're waiting on the snow. Just cloudy skies for now around Omaha, Lincoln. We do have winter weather advisories that go into effect for some of you starting today and then going into at least halfway through Saturday. So there's the green on the map for Omaha. So you do start as a chilly, raw rain, and then we see that switchover start to happen sometime after lunch. Say around 1 o'clock, we see the purple. That indicates maybe some sleet. There could be a little bit of freezing rain as the transition happens as well. And then, of course, you've got the snow on top of that. So it's going to be affecting a huge section of Interstate 80. The winds will be picking up with this system as well. And you're going to be digging out in Omaha from about 3 to 5 inches of snow. In the lighter shade of purple, though, it's possible we could see even more than that. As much as 5 to 8 inches are possible across the central part of Nebraska. So here's a look at the impacts for Des Moines. We're talking about the winds increasing out of the northeast, gusting as high as 30 miles per hour. And notice the snow is going to be light to moderate, especially late tonight through midday tomorrow. And then things begin to taper off as we head towards tomorrow evening. But be prepared for some snowy driving conditions out there and warm. Our stretch continues in Atlanta, including today. We'll have highs in the mid-60s. It's going to be just like yesterday, maybe just a tad cooler, but you can see that we're starting off with dry conditions out there in the ATL. We do have rounds of rain that will be moving in over the weekend, so just prepare for that. And yes, according to a recent survey, red velvet pound cake is the state of Georgia's holiday treat. Jim, I don't think I've ever had that, but my pick is dark chocolate mint bark.
So, oh, that's good.
Peppermint bark.
But they put, okay, so red velvet cake's bad enough. Then they put pound cake in with it, too?
Yeah.
Why
exactly.
not? Just pound it on there. Speaking of pounds, right, Kel?
Yeah, we're going to get pounded with the rain here across the southeast. The system sliding to the east. That's going to spread the rainfall into the Carolinas, down to the Gulf Coast as well. However, there will be a bit of wintry snow here up across the higher elevations of the southern Appalachians, and also tracking some of that snow in the southern plains as well. So let's talk timing, because a lot of you may have some holiday errands, maybe some shopping to do. And here comes the rain as we get into Sunday night, spreading from Huntsville on over to Rome, Georgia, and up into Chattanooga as well. So here's a look at Nashville, the Music City. You're going to be looking at some raindrops falling throughout the day. Temperatures are going to be on the chilly side too, but not quite cold enough for the snowfall. It's going to be low 40s to upper 30s as we head towards early in the day on Monday. And here's your forecast for a place like Birmingham, where it's going to be a beautiful day for you on Sunday. Chance of rain, though, comes in Sunday night into Monday, dropping it down to 32 degrees. And yeah, that rain is going to add up in quite a few of these locations, Jordan. Jump right back into some snowfall. Who wants it? In the Northeast, we are tracking it. Just ahead, we'll time out when it arrives and how much will hit the view. It does feature the snow for Denver, points west. We do have a messy system coming through the middle of the country. The green is rain. So initially, it's going to be pretty warm and warm enough for the raindrops in a place like Chicago. And as we bring this system to the east, there will be some rain here as well. But on the backside, we'll start to see that colder air work in and do its magic, changing that rain over to snow across portions of the Great Lakes region. Now in the Northeast, let's talk about it here, because temperatures are actually pretty mild for a December weekend. Good day to maybe stay inside, write out the Christmas cards. It's also Gingerbread House Day tomorrow, so that's a fun thing you can do with the kids tomorrow. And here is a look as we head towards Sunday. Still, we're going to watch that colder air filter in, rain changing to snow, especially in the higher elevations. Rain down to the south, but there will be some snow for some of you in the southern plains as well. Speaking of snow, we've got winter storm watches in effect for northern portions of Maine. So New England, get ready for a dose of wintry weather. Otherwise, the 95 corridor looking mainly wet with this next go around. You see Boston down to New York City, Hartford right in the middle of all that. We've got rain on the way, but there will be some snow for some of you, especially across portions of northern Maine where winter storm watch is in effect. The chance for some strong winds with some strong thunderstorms. In fact, we do have a chance of severe weather down here in the south, already showing up some lightning on the radar here in the Lone Star State. Well west of Austin, Dallas, you've got some moderate to heavy rain well to the west of you for now, but we're expecting this whole area to be really primed for the chance of some gusty winds with these storms. So that could lead to some power outages, maybe some issues on the roads with some tree branches coming down Little Rock to Shreveport, all the way down to Houston. It's possible we could get some severe weather across this area. It is December. It can still happen this time of the year, especially in the south. We'll watch the rain develop as we get toward the afternoon hours. Dallas, you are past it by the time we get towards the afternoon hours. You'll notice, though, another kind of burst of convection on the backside. Thunderstorms going in the piney woods of eastern Texas, moving into the parishes of Louisiana. Any one of these storms could be severe, so make sure you have a way to get the warnings. Up towards Little Rock, it looks to be an evening event for you guys, say around 8, 9 o'clock, just when you're putting the kids to bed, hopefully trying to get them to go to sleep. You have that thunder booming outside your window. New Orleans looks to be during the overnight hours when you get yours. So let's track it now. For New Orleans, we're good for much of the day today, but then we see the showers and storms start to move in around Baton Rouge. 3 o'clock in the morning. Talk about a rude awakening on your Saturday morning. Thunderstorms will roll through the New Orleans area as we head towards early around 6 o'clock. Biloxi into southern Alabama also looking for some showers and thunderstorms. And yes, it all progresses toward the east as we go through the weekend. Looks like the North Georgia mountains down towards, say, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You all have the chance for some rain as we head for the second half of the weekend, but at least it's rain with the warmer temperatures. All right, let's talk extremes now, Jordan. Just a couple of weeks away from Christmas. So, Jordan, for anybody traveling out there, maybe trying to hang up decorations, it looks pretty good in the south. Where are we seeing some problems?
Well,
a place like Atlanta, it has been gorgeous the past couple of days. We made it into the high 60s yesterday. We'll be around that area today again as we look live at the ATL. Temperatures starting out on the cool side. We were in the 30s earlier. It looks like the tower cam shows 44 degrees right now. A little haze over the skyline for the moment. But be prepared for some rain coming in over the weekend, especially the second half. Fun fact, by the way, according to a recent survey, red velvet velvet pound cake is the state of Georgia's favorite holiday treat, apparently. All right, so as you maybe go shopping or run your errands for the holidays, tomorrow, by the way, is Gingerbread House Day, so maybe a good day for that, some indoor activities, as we are going to be tracking some rain moving up the 95 corridor, even stretching up toward the mid-Atlantic. But we're really going to crank out the rainfall totals here, especially from the parishes of Louisiana, stretching all the way up into the Carolinas. But note the little bit of blue up there in the higher elevation. So there will be some snow out of this for those of you around Boone and Sugar. We are going to track the rain, though, starting up tomorrow afternoon around the parishes of Louisiana. The rain could get heavy at times, watching Interstate 20, watching Interstate 10 as well, as that rain pushes eastward. By Sunday evening, it stretches over towards Chattanooga, into Knoxville, and eventually into the Piedmont of western North Carolina. So for Nashville, here we go with the raindrops for you guys. Still too warm for snow, but it is going to be a cold rain. Temperatures into the 40s and then dropping down into the 30s as we head towards early Monday morning. So there could be a few slushy areas out there, but for the most part, it's just going to be wet. For Birmingham, we are looking at a gorgeous Sunday. Enjoy it because the rain moves in Sunday night. Will be with us into your Monday morning commute, and then we drop it down, Jordan, all the way down to 32 degrees. It does get pretty cold out there by Monday. So without power and a lot of debris on some of the roadways in the wake of some of the flooding that we saw. A heavy thunderstorm or two could swat South Florida with more tropical downpours today and rain that the region absolutely does not need. If you look at some of these totals here, Miami's 2020 rainfall surplus after Eta now stands at 2 feet. Look at these other totals. Miramar, 17 3/4 inches and more than 14 in Pembroke Pines and Hollywood. Davie topping the 11-inch mark and almost that much in Sunrise, Florida as well. Just incredible. And new this morning, Miami and Fort Lauderdale will start to mop up Eta's mess that is in between today's downpours. Surfers and swimmers should use caution today, though. We do have a high risk of rip currents all along Broward and Miami-Dade beaches. And Reynolds, the flood potential is still out there, even though Eta has moved farther away from Florida.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that.
On the way, it really is like a shock to the system.
It is indeed.
You know, you get used to something, and then all of a sudden it changes on you. So, yeah, looking for the coats, maybe the shovels, some of you. We do have winter storm warnings in effect for portions of the Midwest, and therefore our next named winter storm is here, constant. So, yeah, even more unusual is the record 29th named storm of the season, beating out 2005 for the most named storms in a year. But Theta, thankfully, will not be any threat to land. That's the good news there. Meanwhile, Eta unleashing record rainfall on South Florida as bands and bands bombarding parts of Broward County. It really added up close to 18 inches in some areas. Miami is almost 25 inches above average for the year. Moisture from Eta continues to surge into Florida and the rest of the southeast, fueling more of these downpours. So, Jen, even though Eta has moved a little bit away from Florida, we can't write it off just yet as far as impacts. Like it here in the plains where the winds have shifted and the snow is coming down across the plains of Nebraska, South Dakota as well. And then right in the middle here between the snow and the rain, we've got the freezing rain issues and therefore ice storm warnings in effect for many of you where we do have a lot of trees down, power lines down as well. So take it extra slow. And if you can avoid travel, that might be the best idea, especially in the eastern portions of Nebraska, working up into eastern South Dakota. It's going to be a snowy time for you in Sioux Falls. But that purple is your transition zone, and we are expecting quite a bit of snow for a place like Minneapolis, where we do have winter storm warnings in effect. As we check on the road conditions, notice the pink roads here in Nebraska. That means we are snow covered. We also have very dangerous conditions across the northeastern corner of Nebraska. I'm not seeing anything impassable at this time. I'm sure the plows are out there trying to do the best they can, but remember, there's only so much you can do when it comes to ice. So definitely watch out for some more ice accretion around the Rochester, Minnesota area down into north central Iowa as well, and even northern Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan looking out for that terrible freezing rain. All right, let's get back to the tropics. Away from Florida, we're still dealing with the impacts. A heavy thunderstorm or two could still swat South Florida with tropical downpours today. Rain the region absolutely does not need. Miami's 2020 rainfall surplus after Eta now stands at 2 feet. It was already wet before it came in, right? Take a look at some of these other rainfall totals. I mean, we're talking about significant rain from Miramar, 17 3/4 inches. inches, more than 14 inches for Pembroke Pines and Hollywood, and Davie topping 11 inches and almost that much in Sunrise, Florida. And new this morning, Miami and Fort Lauderdale will start to mop up Ada's mess. A lot of fun, maybe, but surfers and swimmers still need to use extreme caution out there today. We do have a high risk of rip currents along Broward and Miami-Dade beaches. And then there's the downpours, Reynolds. Even though Ada moved away from Florida throughout the day yesterday, we're still with that tropical moisture.
And second half potentially coming back with another dash of summer.
Maybe putting us back to average. But remember last year, Hot-tober was trending. Remember that?
It was certainly hot.
Quite the opposite as we begin this October. Of course, the first weekend of October, Tevin. Let's talk about your forecast and get you through this week. It's Monday, and it's a rainy Monday for some of you. So good luck with that. We do have some showers out there in some parts of the country. We will be dealing with some storms as well. Some of them could pack a punch, so watch out for severe storms right there in the middle of the country. Up and down the East Coast is where we find the rain for your Tuesday, still lingering in the Northeast. But hey, we need the rain, especially in New England. We're down like 9 inches for Boston, Providence. We need the rain too. Most of the country actually looking fantastic for Thursday as we start the month of October. Even your Friday looks good. A few showers over the interior sections of the Northeast as we kick off the weekend. And it looks like Sunday. Most of the country quiet except for boasting about the color right now. It'll happen in the Southeast eventually. But check out the fall color coming in out of New England. We've got the yellows. I see some oranges out there. Of course, the reds representing the maple trees. We're talking about the Green Mountains in Stowe, Vermont, by the way, showing the vibrant color right now. And yeah, parts of New England have been bone dry. So it really is amazing to get the spectacular fall show despite the drought conditions. So as I'm about to show you, we need the rainfall, especially over eastern New England. We are down something like 9 inches for Boston, also Portland. We are lacking in the rainfall. We've got extreme drought in many locations. Abnormally dry where you see the yellow elsewhere. So we'll take the rain wherever we get it, Steph, right now, because it's been way too dry for too long of the summer. It has sunshine galore in the eastern part of Nebraska. Welcome back into AMHQ, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass. Tevin has a look at travel conditions across the southeast. And boy, talk about some changes coming for many. Yeah. Time for a little breather and your moment of zen. Take a look at these color apples, and there's so many different types of apples too. And it is apple picking season across the northern part of the country. Definitely feeling like fall. But now it's going to start feeling like fall even in parts of the south, where Ellijay, of course, in North Georgia, known for apple picking as well. So that cold air blasting southward. We've got those north winds already this morning, gusting over 40 miles an hour in parts of Texas. And that cold air by the end of the week, it's all the way down to Florida and the East Coast of the United States too. We're going to be breaking out the hoodies and the sweatshirts by later on this week. Now, Chicago, the average for us this time of the year, it's a late September day, right around mid to upper 60s. And as you can see, we're going to be a little bit below that today and tomorrow. But then look what happens by Friday and the weekend. Highs only in the low to mid 50s, and with the rain and the breeze, it will make it feel cooler. All right, Atlanta was a nice, warm, summery weekend, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed the pool maybe one last time. 81 degrees today, though, still warm, but the showers come through, even storms. And then tomorrow's high, only mid 60s with the rain showers around. And same thing for Pittsburgh. Big drop ahead for you guys, going from 80 degrees today to just 59 for a high temperature tomorrow, Tevin. It's in effect. And I tell you what, we're outpacing, where we were this time last year, and fire season continues through October. So firefighters, I'm sure, are tired. They're weary. Residents are weary of having to evacuate. But this Santa Ana event is going to feature some strong gusty winds downsloping on the western side of the Sierra. It's an offshore wind, and it's a drying wind at that too. Relative humidity relatively low, actually, across this part of California, including Santa Rosa. So that's why we've got the red flag warnings in effect for northern and central California. Firefighters dealing with the heat too. Temperatures are going to be above average. And after getting some rain relief in the Pacific Northwest, the heat goes back on again with this ridge of high pressure settling in, clockwise flow winds around that. And we're going to continue with that offshore wind down here in Southern California as well, where fire remains a danger as well. All right, temperature wise, look at the Central Valley. We're into the upper 90s, close to 100 in some locations, even Northern California up to Medford. We're going to be in the mid 90s. So this ridge is going to continue to be locked in place over the western United States, all the way up into the Puget Sound around Seattle too. So unfortunately, that is not good news for so many fires that continue to burn here with these temperature readings up to 20 degrees above average. The opposite of what's happening in the east. It's quite hot here in the west, very dry, and unfortunately not much in terms of relative humidity either. So for a place like Los Angeles, we are soaring into the mid and upper 90s, and unfortunately, Steph, no rain in sight for Southern California. Good morning, everyone. everyone. Welcome to AMHQ Weekend. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass. Reynolds has the scarf on, so we know what team he's on.
There you go, National Scarf Day, folks. And yeah, all morning on Twitter, we're asking you, are you ready for cooler temperatures? We're also doing a bit of a debate for the best temperature inside as well. Yeah.
I have to say, growing up in New York, cold was like negative something, you know, single digits. Now that I live in the South, too cold is like 20s and 30s.
It's funny that
how you change.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting when you get used to it. By the way, it does turn out that the thermostat wars, that's real.
A dramatic show. It's real, too. All happening in real time, too. All right, we have a look at your tropical update. I'm thankful to report that we don't have any activity expected over the next 5 days. So that's the near term. That doesn't mean we're done with the season, though, and I'll show you why in just a second. There is another area that we are watching. The National Hurricane Center has highlighted as well in the Eastern Pacific. Now, we still have until the end of November before we can say goodbye to the hurricane season that actually started before the season began. We started with our first tropical system back in May, but typically it starts June 1st, goes all the way through November 30th, so we still have 31% of the season remaining. Now, we're getting past the peak of the hurricane season, but we can still have plenty of development when we go into early October. Every dot on this map represents where we've had tropical cyclone development far out in the Atlantic. But I want you to notice how many there have been closer to home in the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the Western Caribbean, and sometimes off an old front across the southeast, you can have development as well. Now, so far, 2020, we have had quite the number of storms here, 23, 8 of which have become hurricanes, Cat 3 or higher. We've had 2 of those. Those are major hurricanes. But look at the landfalls. That's the remarkable stat. We've had 9 landfalling tropical storms or hurricanes. And you can see them all listed here from Faye, Isaias, Bertha, back towards Hannah in Texas. The most recent one was Beta. And by the way, Beta was the very first Greek storm to actually make landfall in this country. We went to the Greek names back in 2005, but none of them made a landfall. So we've had 9 of them. The record is 9. So we're tied with 1916 in terms of how many tropical systems have made landfall here in this country. Here's an interesting map. We've had tropical storm warnings, hurricane warnings up and down the East Coast, over toward the Gulf of Mexico, down to Texas. The only place we haven't is the west coast of Florida. I don't want to jinx it or anything, but that's pretty remarkable that we have not had any tropical storm warnings or hurricane warnings here. But Reynolds, this is the time of year we really need to pay attention, especially to those Gulf storms that form very quickly. Yeah, was that Paul right
absolutely. There? You know, I do like the warm weather, I do, but I think there's a time for everything. I like all 4 seasons, and now here we are in fall, and it's time for fall.
I agree with you. I love the change of the season. You know, it's lovely when we get warmer toward the summertime, but then it's also nice when we cool down again.
Yeah, the only thing about
it desperately across New England, where extreme drought, severe drought is in place, and also across the south, some areas could use the rain, others not so much, but there will be that chance for some flooding where you don't necessarily need the rainfall. Some of you have surpluses in the southeast. Meanwhile, we've got those deficits like by 9 inches in Boston. That's how far below we are for average. All right, Charlotte, North Carolina, we've got the rain showers pushing through on your Monday. What a way to start a work week, right? We've got the thunderstorms on Tuesday, and then eventually this next front comes through and that cools everything down. And once those showers dry up, we will be talking about those below average temperatures. But you can see the rain all the way through Monday night into parts of the Northeast, not quite into Boston or New York yet, but as we head towards Tuesday, that will change. Much of New England starts to see the green on the map. That's your chance for rain, possible thunderstorms even down toward the south, even into Florida. So definitely watch out for the dangerous lightning and the ponding on the roadways as well. For our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., we've got a cool pattern coming up, but in the meantime, it's warm, it's wet, a little stormy perhaps, 67 for your high on Wednesday, and then the showers kind of dry up on Wednesday night, and then we're in for a pretty nice Thursday, definitely feeling fall-like for sure. Showers, thunderstorms, they'll continue into Wednesday, really now beginning to fill in across New England, where, as I mentioned, Boston, you're down by more than 9 inches for 2020. So we'll take the rainfall, 73 degrees for your Wednesday. Showers will last right through your morning commute on Thursday and then dry out, and then we're looking at much cooler temperatures behind that front. Here's your rainfall forecast. Again, some areas across New England could see as much as 1 to 2 inches, and we'll take it. Also, the cooler weather, Reynolds, I'm seeing a lot of pictures on social media. That fall foliage is really popping in so many areas. Side up for fall. It's a great time for a camping trip, and we found a camping resort that's all about your pooch. That's right, your dogs. Connie, long ago that I saw it. It's a very fun show that we show, you know, dramatic scenes like that, but also have fun with it too, right?
Absolutely. All the more reason to tune in again.
Exactly.
There you go.
All right, guys, you're tuned in just in time for your tropical update. I'm happy to report fun.
There you go.
I mean, I am ready for the change, that's for sure. But, you know, I think when you get toward the end of any season, you're kind of ready to move on to something new.
Absolutely.
You know?
Totally agree. Absolutely agree. And this was summer tends to be kind of long in the south. So
Table with this one, including storm surge flooding, which will be more significant the stronger the system is. And now we're expecting it to be a major hurricane. So timing is so important when preparing for a storm, right? You've got Lake Charles, Louisiana, potentially in the path of the eye of the storm. So here's your timing: tropical storm force winds at first, and then we get into those hurricane force winds as we go Wednesday night over into Thursday morning. And we're expecting anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of rainfall. So you can see that we do have the hurricane alerts, hurricane watches on the map, likely to be upgraded to warnings as we get closer to the event. So now is the time to prepare. Tropical storm watches even go inland for many parishes of Louisiana and counties in Texas as well. So keep in mind, even those tropical storm force winds, they will knock out your power. So you really need to be ready for this, hunker down or evacuate if told to do so, as you see these stronger winds. East wind, of course, coming in from this side. It's moving in a counterclockwise fashion. So you're going to have those winds scraping the Louisiana coastline as we head towards Wednesday night into Thursday morning. A potential landfall somewhere between Port Arthur and Lake Charles. Again, this is subject to change, but as of right now, this is our potential forecast with the winds that will still be going. Even hurricane force winds. Can't rule that out because it takes a while for a major hurricane to really unwind and weaken. So you got those winds on the map, at least 110 miles per hour across southwest Louisiana, eastern Texas as well. With that, along the eastern side, you got that potential for storm surge flooding. And then on top of that, the heavy rainfall that is going to come in with this tropical system. We're talking 5 to 8 inches in some parts of Louisiana and Texas, perhaps even more than that. So, Stephanie, it's so important to remember the impacts not just at the coastline, but inland as well becomes basically extra tropical, losing those tropical characteristics, but heads for the northeast this last weekend of August. Before then, though, we are going to be dealing with periodic showers and thunderstorms, some of which have been severe already this morning in the Chicago area. But note the lightning strikes that are showing up here across southern Wisconsin, Milwaukee in the middle of it right now. And earlier we did have Cook County in a severe thunderstorm warning. And so far I've seen those wind reports up between 54 and 57 miles per hour. Line of storms just to the east of Interstate 88, though, just around the Oneonta area, moving down the Mohawk Valley. None of these are severe, but still lightning is a hazard. So you should be indoors when thunder roars. And we'll have more thunder rumbling across the northeast, the 95 corridor. Some of this could be severe, and especially right here in the mid-Atlantic, parts of New Jersey, Dover, Delaware, back towards Baltimore and D.C. We're talking damaging winds being your primary threat. So be prepared for some power outages across this area. We've got strong mid-level flow, cold front at the surface as well. So that, of course, could do some damage across that area. So let's time it out for you. We've got a few thunderstorms out there already this morning. It's early, though. By the time we get toward the afternoon and evening, we'll see more storms really booming out there across Maryland, West Virginia, New Jersey, you name it. Any one of these storms could do some damage. And Jen, as you know, there are some U.S. cities that are at higher risk than others to experience the impacts of a hurricane. Houston is one of those cities. Meteorologist Mark Elliott explains why Houston continues to have a problem. And the damage caused by Hurricane Harvey hitting the Texas coast cost an estimated $125 billion. That's second to Hurricane Tropical Storm Laura, but it's expected to become a hurricane sometime today and then eventually a major hurricane on approach to the Gulf Coast, which makes it an even more dangerous situation as it could be increasing in intensity even as it's making that landfall. So we've got the purple on the map here right along the Texas-Louisiana border to the coastline, 110 mile per hour plus. So Category 3 is 111, over 111. That's a major hurricane. And then inland from there, we're talking about 74 mile per hour winds. As you guys just discussed, that's still hurricane strength. So you can see how far inland the hurricane force winds go. And then on top of that, you've got the tropical storm force winds that go well inland into northern Louisiana, parts of Arkansas, even into Oklahoma. So here's a look at the timing for certain cities like Galveston. It's going to start to get pretty gusty out there tomorrow. So today is your day to plan and prepare. 3 to 5 inches of rain is what we're forecasting for now, depending on the exact path of the storm. This could actually go up. The storm surge potential is also 2 to 4 feet. Again, Houston right now looks to be on the western side of a potential landfall, but that could change as well. For now, the heaviest rain is going to be just off to your east. We're anticipating anywhere from 2 to 3 inches for Houston. Northern Louisiana, here in Shreveport, those winds will pick up early Thursday morning. They'll be gusty all day long, and your rainfall potential is anywhere from 3 to to 5 inches. And Jen, we could really use this rain in the west.
Santa drives the Jeep.
Strategically placed on the Jeep where it doesn't block his view and it's not on the road in front of him either.
Right, and it doesn't fly off and hit the car behind him.
Yeah, exactly. We do have some issues, though, with some freezing fog this morning. So where the temperatures have dipped below freezing, that fog is freezing on the surface as well. And the fog, by the way, can also reduce visibility, so make sure you've got the low beams on if you're traveling early this Christmas Eve. All right, we've got a look at the low visibility reports now. You can see the darker the shades of gray, the worse the visibility. So definitely be careful. Give yourself a little extra time in getting to the mall, perhaps at the last minute later this morning. Here's a look at also the visibility reports out of Ohio, western Pennsylvania. By the way, dense fog advisory is also in effect for portions of West Virginia and western Virginia as well. You just saw as temperatures heat up, so do the lakes and ponds, and many times pets and people can't see the dangers the melting ice can create. So what can you do if you fall through the ice? Jen Carfagno learned what it takes to survive a fall into icy water. 104 million people, that's a lot of people, expected to hit the road by car this holiday season.
That's right, and if you're going to Grandma's house today, some of you might want to leave the Christmas sweater at home and think about turning on the AC, breaking out the flip-flops, maybe even a tank top.
There you go. It's going to be a pretty warm Christmas for many. No white Christmas, even in a place like that.
I am. Bring it.
All right, guys. Yeah, we're talking about not just warm air, but snow for some of you, especially along the northern tier of the country. So, yes, we already have snow on the ground. You are likely to have a white Christmas in parts of the northern plains as well as the upper Midwest. That snowpack is still pretty thick despite the slightly warmer than average temperatures. But here comes a shot of snow that's going to be moving in later on today and into tomorrow. Cold air sinking southward to go along with our low pressure system. Just a little bit of moisture. We're not talking about a ton of snow, but there will be snow breaking out across the Dakotas into the arrowhead of Minnesota and eventually into northern Wisconsin. But notice that rain snow line. It's way up there. Even Duluth, you're looking at a wintry mix. So it's not going to be all snow for you. International Falls, you are definitely in that deeper cold air. So you are likely to get some decent snow Wednesday into Thursday before it tapers off by Thursday night, the day after Christmas. So how much are we talking about? Where we have the colder air, the snow will last a little longer, and therefore you have the ability to pile up the snow to about 3 to 5 inches. Again, not a ton of snow. South of there, a place like Duluth where you do more mixing, not a whole lot there. And Chicago, of course, we're just going to continue to talk about the mild air over Millennial Park.
I'm calling it mild, or is it just hot out there? I mean, 58 degrees for the day after Christmas.
Probably the last weekend of the year. So we do get kind of back to average after this week, but right now it is heating up across the Central Plains, and they're sharing that warmth with the east now because we finally broke free of the clouds and that east wind that we had all day long yesterday in the southeast, and the sunshine will do its thing. It's finally going to break out into the 60s for many locations, and that means above average temperatures. Not just here, but look what happens in the Midwest. We are very much above average. In fact, so much so that some records may be threatened. We may tie or break some records in the Midwest. All these dots representing where we could see a record high for Christmas Day. Here is a look at some of those records. Omaha, if we get to 60, that will be a record. The old one to beat is 57. Des Moines, you're within 1 degree of your record high. And look at these areas in eastern Kansas, well into the upper 60s and therefore, or mid 60s, I should say. And we should get very close to the record there as well. All right, for Omaha, Nebraska, average high this Christmas Eve is around 34 degrees, and Christmas Day we're going to be up to 60 degrees. So take your average high and pretty much double it. That's how warm we're going to be. And then we finally bring it back down to around average by Sunday. Again, the last weekend of the year, we finally get those temperatures on the cooler side. So this ridge is responsible for the heat dome that's spreading out all over the East Coast, even the Northeast. We get in on it too, especially beyond Christmas toward the end of the week. We're talking temperatures as high as 30 degrees above average. When you get into that territory, you got to start looking at some records to see if they could be threatened. And as a matter of fact, there will be some of those. And the weekend still looks pretty warm too for much of the I-95 corridor. Here are the dots on Thursday as we head out to the shopping malls, maybe doing the returns or exchanges. You've got the potential for record highs from Michigan down to the Show Me State of Missouri and even into West Virginia as well. Just a couple of cases in point. Chicago, if we get up to 58 degrees on Thursday, that will beat out your old record of 55. South Bend, also Grand Rapids, looking to break records on the day after Christmas. So, Greg, instead of maybe breaking out the skis, we're breaking out the skateboards, the bicycles, that kind of thing. Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass alongside Tevin Wooten and our storm specialist, Dr. Greg Postel, with all the weather to get you to your holiday destinations. And it might be time to change the words to that Bing Crosby favorite. Is anyone dreaming of a warm Christmas? Well, if you are, you're in luck. Tevin, we are gifting everybody with the warmth across the travel. Right now, you got 27 degrees, so good day for your Skyline chili, maybe for lunch. Here's a look at our March snowstorms. If you go back in time, we've seen pretty good snows as late as the end of March. That was back in 1987 when we had 8.8, but the number one spot was on March 8th of 2008 when we had 10.7 inches of snow. Will we see that much snow this time around? South and west of the city does have the potential to see several inches, but right here in the heart of Cincinnati, we're going for about 3 to 4 inches of snow, and then even lesser amounts as you head to the north and east of there. So here's a look at the way it plays out across the Ohio Valley. I mentioned Chicago, not really getting much out of this, nor does, Detroit. It's going to be right here. A stripe of snow breaking out from the Circle City of Indianapolis right on down towards West Virginia. And yes, even the high country of western North Carolina, we've got the potential to see at least 2 to 4 inches of snow the way it looks right now in a place like Banner Elk. There's your snow breaking out along the I-81 corridor. Doesn't stop there as we go towards tomorrow night, 11 o'clock. We stop the clock and you can see the snow still happening across the I-81 corridor. And yes, kind of teasing us a little bit there in parts of North Carolina as we go through the overnight hours. Here's a look at our snowfall forecast. The lighter shade of blue, not so much. We're talking 1 to 3. Darker blue, though, like right around Cincinnati, we're talking 3 to 5. With that lighter shade of purple, yeah, that's where we're talking about 5 to 8, possibly some places getting up to about a foot of accumulation. All right, time to go coast to coast now with your Friday weather headlines. In California, the get indoors, whether it's severe or not. Lightning is a killer. We take a look at our weekend in view. We do have some thunderstorm activity out there across the Midwest, but north of that, it is all about Winter Storm Uma, just named this morning, with the snow spreading out from the northern plains and eventually scooting through the Quad Cities and eventually the Ohio River Valley as well, where we could see several inches of snow in some places. East Coast looking pretty good for the most part, just clouding up in New York City, 45 degrees. We will see some milder temperatures, though, in the south. Check it out. We've got 71 in Atlanta. Yes, another weekend, another chance of rain, but it's not going to be a lot of rain. And then as you make your way toward the north, that purple is a wintry mix, but the blue is where we do have a chance of snow, and it could really pile up in some places. It's a narrow band, but it could be very heavy and very impactful. It's a heavy, wet snow, too, by the way, so be prepared for power outages as we head for the second half of the weekend. Looking good across the northeast and the Great Lakes region. Down toward the south, though, still a chance of rain. Looks good in Miami, 81 degrees, and here comes more snow for the mountains of the west. Well, we will take a look at the roads coming up at 20 past the hour, where you could be looking at rainy. All right, speaking of heat, we will likely see some record highs, either tied or broken once again in parts of New Mexico and Texas. We do have some 80s and even 90s in the forecast here. Look at Dallas getting up to 84 degrees for tomorrow. We do see Winter Storm Uma spreading that heavy snow. It's a narrow band, but a very impactful band. We're talking about several inches coming through places like Springfield, Illinois, Indianapolis, over through the Ohio Valley, and eventually parts of the Appalachians in the east. Otherwise, Sunday looking pretty dry in the northeast, but rain showers across the